What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks, as always, brought to you by Bet Parks. We're live on a Monday morning. Good morning, everybody out there. As we're in the final day of June, we're about to hit the dog days of summer. It's crazy. And then it'll be 4th of July, 4th of July week, and then you kind of get a week of recovery after that. And then you're right smack dab All-Star break. Phillies with 12 games left before the All-Star break. We'll talk about them. They take 2 of 3 over the Braves over the weekend. We'll take it. The Padres in town for a series at the beginning of this week, starting tonight. 76ers. It's interesting because I think most 76ers fans are very happy with VJ Edgecombe. You get some people that should have drafted Ace Bailey or whatnot, but like for the most part, I'm all in. I am. I love the draft pick. I'm really excited to see what he does even in year one. But like you have to also now look at it and say, and I'm doing my best to be positive, John, and be like, all right, like, but they still have a season that they're getting ready for in 2025 and 2026. And it's not that far away before training camp will start, and they'll have the media day, and then the regular season starts. And I know we wait till the end of football season, at least I do, before you really dig in and you start paying attention hardcore to the 76ers. But there's a lot of 76ers fans that are living and dying with everything. So here's what we know, because we have free agency and we have players opting in and players opting out. So most 76ers fans are saying, okay, can they keep Yabusele? Is Oubre going to come back? And what about Quentin Grimes? So we have some answers as to those questions right there. Grimes is now a restricted free agent. The 76ers tendered him, so now he can go out and he can sign with anybody. But the Sixers have the right to match, which it looks like they're going to outside of something crazy happening, right? I think it was Jake Fisher that said, somebody said they think it's going to be like $15-16 million a year is what he's going to command. And then somebody came out and said that they're looking for $25 million a season. Well, yeah, I'm sure he is looking for $25 million a season. Realistically, is he going to get somewhere between? He's probably going to get somewhere between the 15 and the 25. We'll see. There could be a healthy market for him. He may not have that big of a market at all. Sixers can match anything. So Sixers really in the driver's seat with Grimes. If you were holding your breath for Kelly Oubre coming back, he picked up his player option, $8.4 million, which is really interesting. Because he's actually, like, if you look at him and what he's done since he's been a 76er, he's put up really good numbers. $8.4 million for a guy that isn't, like, Eric Gordon declined his player option. That was like a $3 million option, right? Like, those older guys, they're making 3, 4, 5, 6. He declined a $3 million player option. But a guy like Oubre, he's still young, can shoot the three. He's a wing. He started for the Sixers. He's actually been pretty good since he's been here. He picked up his $8.4 million player option. That obviously tells you there wasn't a huge market for him out there. So now the Sixers are able to bring him back. They're able to trade him at some point because there will be teams that are interested. But overall, really, really important guy to bring back. But if you were like waited with bated breath to see if Andre Drummond was going to pick up his player option, well, Tyler Zulli, he did. Andre Drummond will be back with the 76ers if you were worried about that. As, of course, he picked up his player option of $5 million. Outside of that, I mentioned Eric Gordon. Who cares? I'm not even going to. I'm not even going to break it. I'll let the PHLY Sixers podcast get into the weeds with all that stuff. I don't care. The bottom line is, and this is the way that I look at it, this is the way that Tyler said to me, essentially, they're running it back with the same team, now with draft picks, and that's pretty much it. They're running it back. They're running it back. And the hope and the finger crosses and everything else is always going to be Joel Embiid. Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, this entire team, it's all about Joel Embiid. It's about his health. It's about how many games are they able to squeeze out of him. And, like, is he going to make a commitment to make this the season that he is the Allen Iverson season of 2000-2001? They were going to trade AI. We talk about practice, even though he said that afterwards. But, like, there was a lot going on with Allen Iverson. There's a lot going on with Joel Embiid. And it goes farther than the injuries. When Tyrese Maxey reportedly has to come out at a team meeting and says that calls out Joel Embiid and says he is late for everything, and then it's leaked to the media, which most people or a lot of people believe by the team to try something to get Embiid going. Now we have to look at it and be like, okay, those things need to change. The commitment to winning needs to change. The commitment to the team needs to change. Because I don't think anybody on the Sixers dislikes Joel. It's not one of those things. You know how you have a friend or you have a coworker that everybody likes. And you say, like, yo, like, I like him. He's a good guy, or like he's good to me or whatever. But you also realize that he's not committed, or he does this, or he does that. So there's a lot of chatter. You do a lot of talking behind their back. If you're in a work environment, there's always a couple of people that you chat about behind their back. Always late, right? Like, we've all worked with people like that. Joel Embiid's that guy, although he's like the superstar MVP and everybody knows it. Unless the commitment to winning starts with him, it'll never work. It's never going to work. The commitment and the winning and everything else, can Joel Embiid rev it up for this season and kind of like an all-in season with his health, with his commitment, with just rallying and getting everybody on the same page? Because you have a guy like Tyrese Maxey, you can just tell, like, he's jonesing. He's jonesing to be a part of a winning program. And I think he realizes, like, it's got to be now with Joel Embiid, or like it's probably not going to happen. How many times can you keep coming back with Joel Embiid and say, oh, well, you know, he's been attacking rehab and he's in a really good place. And like, okay, great. I hope he is attacking rehab. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's ready to go. Because he's such a great player that he can carry this team to third seed, fourth seed, second seed. What can they do in the playoffs? Like this, it's an exhausting conversation. It's an exhausting conversation. But they're running it back. Do they have enough? I could sit here, even as positive John, and say, well, listen. Yeah, sure. Look at the East. Cleveland and the Knicks. Indiana doesn't have Halliburton now, right? I mean, if you're relying on Joel Embiid, it's a very, very dangerous proposition. From Daryl Morey's perspective, from Nick Nurse's perspective, from the 76ers organization. But that's what we are going to rely on, as it doesn't seem like there's going to be much of anything else happening for the Philadelphia 76ers. Yabusele, which is a guy that showed a lot last year for the 76ers. Teams love his versatility. I keep seeing the Spurs that are connected with him. Totally makes sense. They kind of like that European big man, assist, rebounds, points, can play multiple positions. Makes sense that he's going to price himself out of what the 76ers are able to do. So I would not expect Yabusele back, but you know, like Eric Gordon, there's mutual interest in him coming back. So, Tyler, I know that you were concerned about that. Tyler Zulu joins the program as this portion is brought to you by GLAT Hair Restoration, GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. So, Drummond back, check. Oubre, look, Eric Gordon might not be, but Oubre, why do teams not want him? $8.4 million player option he picks up. You'd think there'd be somebody out there that'd be willing to guarantee him more money.
Yeah, that's the interesting one, right? Because Drummond had a bad year last year. I think Drummond's cooked, and it's unfortunate because I think Drummond was a fan favorite the first time he was here. Guy who played hard, gets boards, good backup type of guy. I just think at this point he's probably closer to cooked than anything. Oubre's the interesting one because when you said that, John, I was like, all right, so last year, and I know he didn't play a full season, but last year had to have been a year where he took more shots, right? To get to the numbers that he was at, just based on the fact that the Sixers needed shots because guys were hurt. Actually, that's not true. So 2 years ago, his first year with the Sixers, he averaged 30.2 minutes. He took 12.9 shots. This year, he averaged 34.6 minutes. He took 12.4 shots and less threes per game. Last year, 15.4. This year, 15.1. And the $8.3 million that he just opted into, John, makes him the 184th highest paid player in the NBA this year. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Kelly Oubre is like a world-changing, world-class NBA player. But if you're telling me I can get 15 points a night from the 184th paid player in the league, that's a good pay for the Sixers.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He'll be 30 next season when it starts. I mean, like he's been really good. There must be he's been with 5 teams in his career, which, for kind of a journeyman type player, which he's really become. But like his skill set and what he's able to do isn't journeyman at all.
Sure.
Right. Like for what this league wants players to do, he's pretty good, man. So happy about Oubre, a little bit surprised, but like I guess that like really all along, people were like, it seemed like they were leaning towards him picking up that player option. It's coming down to what does Maxey look like this year? How does he look with Paul George? Is Paul George broken down, or did he just realize last year wasn't going to happen and they kind of shut it down? And then Joel Embiid. And I firmly believe, and I'm not telling you that I think it's likely or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised or I wouldn't be shocked if Joel Embiid was able to put together 1 year where he played 55 games and he got back to being that MVP type player. Is his body going to allow it? Man, if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised either. But it sure seemed like the Sixers wanted him to do that last year, right? Like they weren't treating him like, well, man, he can't play at all. He's so fragile. His knees are so bad. They were trying to get him to play through it. So this year with Joel Embiid, you're real like that's the hope. The hope is that he's able to have that Allen Iverson-esque 2000-2001 season where he just plows right through and they go.
It is kind of feeling a little bit like an aging gunslinger in the Wild Wild West, right? Probably a pretty corny analogy, but here's my reasoning is like, odds stacked against him, one final stand type of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And if he plays, because I think for everybody, the number is probably 60. If he gets to 60, they're a 4 or 5 seed in the East.
Easy. Yep.
Because of their talent and the fact that, as you brought up, Halliburton's missing the whole year. Tatum is missing most of the year. And Boston, I know Boston is like, they're kind of looking towards next year. They've moved Porzingis. They've moved a bunch of different guys already. I know that they're kind of looking about cap and thinking about next year as well. But there's a handful of teams and a handful of teams' best players, or right up to the top of their best players, who are going to miss most of, if not all of next year. I think there is an opportunity, assuming health, which is a hard assume with Joel Embiid right now, but assuming health, I think that they have the ability to, be a top 4 or 5 team in the East. And that's not something I would have thought I was going to say 6 months ago.
Nope. Yeah, you start feeling good and you look at the glass half full. All right, Joel Embiid, games played in the last 5 years. 50. Well, let's start with 2019, 2020. 51, 51, 68, 66. So
well, I will say the 51 was the year it was a short season.
It was the shortened season, right? Like I'm honestly, I don't even look at 50 games as a bad thing. I really, really don't. 68 and 66. Listen.
Yeah.
68 and 66. Yeah.
How about that? He won an MVP in one of those years.
Right. 39. And then last year was a lost season and he had that knee. Man, we get back to the 60s. Now we're talking, and you're right, Tyler. That's when this team will he can carry a team. He's that good of a player.
Oh yeah.
Now, playoffs is a totally different story, and we're gonna have to see that. But can he manage to do it now? And that's the question. Everything with this franchise right now, for all the talking we're doing and this and that, and Paul George and Maxey, if Joel Embiid can play 60-some games, this team has a chance. They have a chance.
For sure, without a doubt, it always has, and it probably always will come down to the relative health of Joel Embiid. And you said 50 might even be a good number. If he plays 50, 55, and they can win, because I guess really the question is, how many do they win relative to the amount that he plays? Because when he's healthy and they play, they win a lot. You know what I mean? So like, if you can ask for 500 ball in the 30 games he doesn't play. If you can go 15 and 15 in the let's assume 52, just for an easy 15 and 15.
Okay.
If he plays 52 and they go 15 and 15 in the other 30, to get to the postseason, you probably need another 30-ish wins. 30 and 22 with Joel Embiid healthy on the floor is very attainable.
All right, so let's say they win 13 games of the 30. So they go 13 and 17. They're under 500.
Okay.
And because a lot of times they'll be like, "Oh, we're probably losing this team anyway," or know, like, or actually no, like a lot of times maybe they'll sit them against the bad teams. I don't. All right, so let's do 15. You're right. Let's go straight down the middle, 15. Yeah, they can easily go in. If he plays 52 games, can they go 35 and 17 in those games?
For sure.
Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely they can. Yeah. So now you're looking at a 50-win team. And 50 gets you right in that third, fourth. Let me look at the final standings last year. I know it was a little bit of a weird year for the East. But, yeah, it does. It does. They're not that far off. It all depends on Joel Embiid.
Well, and the one thing, too, while you're looking this up, the Eric Gordon conversation is an interesting one because he opted out, but apparently there's mutual interest between the two.
Got to have mutual interest.
Well, and I think the reasoning behind it is he can opt out and then make something about making similar money while it's a less of a cap hit. I think the cap hit goes down like $1 million or something like that if he re-signs after the opt out. So he can make
they're in cahoots on something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Gordon's back on a different deal.
Yeah, don't be shocked if I don't care if he's back or he's not back. But
I'm not sure anybody does. But
right. So last year, the Knicks at 51 wins were the 3rd seed. The Pacers 4th seed at 50 wins.
Yeah.
Cleveland, who was the number 1 seed, 64. You're going to have to go through Cleveland. And now there's like whispers about LeBron maybe wanting to return home to finish his career. You know, all of a sudden LeBron's like, oh yeah, the Lakers. I understand they can't compete. Yeah, LeBron sees the writing on the wall with the Lakers. He's out winning squat there. So what is he going to do? All right. There you go. Positive John on the 76ers. Joel Embiid. Yep. Yeah, I'm not going to try to shine it for you right now and tell you they're going to win anything because I don't believe that. And I'm ready to exit the Joel Embiid era in Philadelphia. But we do have to play a season at least. And like, hey, what the hell? Why not? Why not? Seriously. It's one thing if you don't have any talent. Right, like it must be the worst feeling in the world. Not that being a 76er is a good feeling. 76er fans a good feeling. But the worst feeling in the world is when you have a team that you want to compete, but your franchise is so futile that they don't. When you're in the process, then you're like, all right, well, you're in the process. You know that they're trying to lose games, so you can deal with that. But when you're trying to win games and you're like, no, we just suck, that's a terrible feeling going into a season knowing you can't win anything. I can't go into the season saying, well, they have no chance of winning. No, they actually do. They actually do have a chance. Is it likely? No, it's not likely. But do they have the pieces there that if everything goes right? Yeah, they could. Absolutely. We'll come back with, we got a lot to talk about today. Bryce is going to be back this week. Dave Dombrowski, listen, brother, like I'm a Dave Dombrowski fan. I was all for it when they hired him. I thought it was a great hire by the Phillies. It's turned out to be really good. But Kepler and Romano and what he did at the trade deadline last year, and I mean, come on, man. They're killing the team right now. But we'll update you. The Padres are in town. That's going to be a fun series. I'll be down at the game tonight. We'll talk about that as well. With the Flyers recap of the draft, they're trying to recreate the Legion of Doom. Are you kidding me? Big North American forwards? That's all ahead. Philly with John Marks. PHLY. Stay tuned. We got a lot. Oh, man, we got so much to go. Listen, you're in the market. It's a good time right now to get new flooring in your home. It's in the summer. You're in the middle of the summer. You're able to leave the office maybe a little bit earlier than normal. You can work from home an extra day, right? And you can get that flooring installed by Empire Today. The experts in the industry when it comes to flooring, right? Why would you go there? Why would you go anywhere else? They bring the showroom to your home, to your room, so you can see what your new flooring will look like in your space, in your house, in your living room, wherever you're getting your new flooring with your lighting. Just remember this, and this is with furniture as well. The lighting at these places is different than in your home. They have professional lighting. So it may look a little bit different at the showroom. In your home, you know what it's going to look like with your furniture, with the colors of your wall, with everything, right? The light in your home, natural light in your home. So you're seeing what it looks like in your home. And you're talking about dedicated flooring experts that know what they're doing. This is all they do. This isn't a big box store where you're getting Larry from plumbing that has to come down and help you because you can't find anybody in flooring that can help. Then you have to haul it away. Then you have to find a contractor to do it with Empire Today. Just the one call. Or go to empiretoday.com/PHLY, and they've got you covered. Clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing. This is a free in-home estimate. They go through everything. There's no surprises at all. And when you're ready to go, installation can be scheduled as soon as the next day. Go to the pros from the first contact until your job is finished. You have somebody that's working for you to make sure everything is getting done. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. All right, GLAT Hair Restoration. We're in the hat again. The hair is long, not happy with the hair. I am getting the Freshie at Razor Bar today. Before I go down to the Phillies game, I'm going down the shore next week, so I need the hair to look good. GLAT Hair Restoration. When you want your hair to look good, right? We've all been there. I've done the same thing. You get your hair cut differently. You get it styled differently. You style it differently. You wear hats when you're thinning, when you're balding. Everything changes with your hair. And if you're constantly messing with it, like you're pushing it up or pushing it over, GLAT Hair Restoration can help. So you're thinning, you're balding. It's not just about hair restoration, which I have. It's about innovation. There's so many different ways that they can help you reduce thinning, slow it down, stop the shedding, stop men and women, by the way. Think about it. If you're a guy, you can shave your head and you're like, it looks fine. You're not worried about it. What happens if you're a woman and you're losing your hair and you're thinking like, oh my God, what am I going to do? GLAT Hair Restoration, GLATHairMM.com, or you can call or text them, 610-980-4000, 610-980-4000, or once again, GLATHairMM.com. All right, we're back. Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Why? We have Tyler Zulli in the house, PHLY Phillies. He's got a live show coming up later today. Recap from yesterday's game. Phils take 2 of 3 against the Braves. It was it was kind of actually what I expected. It was. Strider was really good yesterday. The Phillies were fortunate to get a win. Ranger Suarez was absolutely fantastic. Mick Abel gave you enough, I guess, but the Phillies offense was there. Excuse me, Mick Abel didn't pitch. I'm sorry, I was thinking to start before. You had the long rain delay on Friday night. Mick Abel didn't pitch, and the Phillies bats came out and they smashed the Braves. And then Saturday was one of the the game where nobody was scoring runs, and then Jordan Romano comes in and serves up a grand slam. And yet yesterday, Ranger Suarez was excellent as usual. So the Phillies take 2 of 3. Ranger Suarez, 10 straight starts. Under that stretch, 1.19 ERA. So he had that first really bad start. Since then, 10 straight quality starts and a 1.19 ERA during that stretch. I feel like I say this every time, and I'm not going to do the Aaron Nola joke where I clap and say you get to keep Aaron Nola now. But he has been absolutely fantastic. And they're on pace to win 94 games. For as bad as this offense is looking and as maddening as this team can be, they're on pace to win 94 games. 61 strikeouts and 15 walks over the last 10 games. He's getting swings and misses, man. He was doing it again yesterday, mixing his pitches up. Hitters are never balanced against them. And that's what I'd love. For a guy that doesn't throw the ball very hard, and like his velocity is fine. As a lefty, his velocity is fine. But like guys are never balanced against him. They're just not. And he works the corner so well. He's never leaving pitches over the middle of the plate. He very, very few walks in his starts. God, I love watching Ranger Suarez pitch. It's really, really a pleasure to watch him pitch. Maybe not to the degree of Cliff Lee when Cliff came over that one year they traded for him, and then when he came back when he was still good. But Rangers, he's fun. He's fun to watch on the mound. So he was great. Tyler, we've been it's kind of like a canned response here on the show. This team's going to win 90 games with their starting pitching alone. This team's going to win 90 games with their starting pitching alone. They're on pace to win 94. Their offense sucks right now.
So we were talking about this before the show. This is kind of wild to me. So for all the complaining that we've done, and rightfully so this month at times, there have been some lackluster performances, especially from the offense. If the Phillies win tonight, they'll finish the month of June 14-13, which I'm not going to sit here and tell you it sets the world on fire, but for as bad as the offense has been over stretches in the month of June, they've balanced that out with really, really, really good pitching. And this team has given up 86 runs in the month of June. Wow. 86 runs over a 29-day stretch. Now, they didn't play all 29 days, but they played a lot in June, John. They had a couple of weeks where they didn't have any days off. I would bet, well, actually, we know they played 26. This will be game number 27.
Right.
So 26 games they've played in the month of June. They gave up 86 runs as a staff. And that includes, the grand slam by Romano the other night.
It includes the bullpen and include games. Right. 3.3 runs a game they've given up in June.
Right. As a collective
as a whole.
unit.
As an entire staff, yes.
And that's not just the starting pitching. Like, the bullpen's been okay. Like, Orion Kerkering has been excellent in the month of June and May. And I think Strom's bounced around a little bit, but like, that's how good this starting rotation has been. That their offense has sputtered at times, and they have a chance to be 14-13 and have only given up 86 runs this month. It's unbelievable how good this rotation is.
Yeah, I saw Fit Dad's on here this morning, and I remember when we were going over like, okay, what are the Phillies going to do in June? And I think we had them a little bit over 500, but I remember specifically Fit Dad saying they're going to be 500 in June. Even if like one game over 500, you can essentially say they're 500 in June,
sure.
Which I'm okay with. The fact that you haven't had Bryce Harper hasn't played since June 5th. They're 12-10 in those games. He could be back with this week. More on that in a second. But the fact that you don't have Bryce Harper, the fact that your offense is really, really struggling, I'll take 500 all day. And you know what? If they go 500 in July, I'm okay, man. Like, they need to pick it up in August and September. Last year in June, they were cooking, if you remember. This team was killing it into the All-Star break, so I don't give a damn about that. They're in first place. They're keeping pace with everything. They hope the starting pitching can just continue. But I'm fine with 500 baseball.
You and I talked about it at the end of May coming into June. In May, they played they had series against the Rays, the Pirates, the Rockies, the A's. And I think they were just coming off a national series. So like, they had played some bad teams and they beat up on bad teams and they did what they were supposed to do. And you and I said that June was going to be a much harder month. In June, compared to the early portions of May, they played Toronto twice, who's sitting in a postseason spot. They played Chicago, who's sitting in a postseason spot. They played the Mets and the Astros, who are both sitting in postseason spots. A much more difficult June. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you they set the world on fire in June, but they had an opportunity to kind of stay afloat, and that's what they've done. Now they have a series against the Padres, a series against the Reds, who are playing better baseball, a series against the Giants, who are faltering, but still a well above 500 team, and then the Padres again to wrap up the first half of the year. The schedule in June and the first half in July is not an easy task for this Phillies team. So if they can play about 500 ball or a little bit above 2-3 games over 500 from now until the All-Star break, they're going to be in a pretty good spot, especially considering how poorly the Mets have played over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so feel good about the team. Padres, Bryce Harper. He when you're Bryce Harper, you get minor league pitchers flown in so they can throw innings to you, so they can try to do it like a rehab appearance, so he doesn't have to actually go to Lehigh Valley or whatever. So they fly in some minor leaguers. By the way, this is how Jeff Hoffman ended up on the team. He needed pitchers to come in and throw live pitching to him, so they brought in Hoffman from AAA. And Bryce said, "Hey, this guy's really good. Should maybe keep him around. The rest is history." But yeah, so he took this was on Saturday, so yesterday was an off day. So it's probably, how did he feel yesterday? And if he felt great yesterday, I think he's in the starting lineup today. If I was a betting man, if I was to bet, I would say Bryce Harper is back against the Padres tonight. But either way, he's coming back. He'll be back soon.
I can certainly see it. With Harper, this has been kind of a track record with him throughout his career. When he's injured, he wants to get back as quickly as he possibly can. I would imagine he probably is in the lineup today, but if it's not today, it'll be tomorrow or it'll be this series at the latest, I would think.
I will be at the game tonight, Tyler Zulli. I've become buddies with the guys that do morning radio in San Diego.
Okay.
Ben and Woods and their producer Paulie, and they were like earlier this season. They're like, yeah, we think we want to come in for the series. He's like, it's just good timing and everything else. It's a holiday week, and I'm like, all right. And then they're like, yeah, we booked the tickets. So they got me a ticket. We're sitting 3 rows behind the Padres dugout. I think because they're the flagship out there on the Fan. So I think they got tickets from the Padres. So I'll be 3 rows behind the Padres dugout tonight. So look for me. I'll be wearing my Steve Jeltz jersey. Going to be awesome.
Can you heckle an opposing team wearing a Steve Jeltz jersry? That just feels like you're not allowed to do that.
I should have to heckle myself for wearing.
You sit in silence.
No. I'm not a heckler. I'm not a heckler at all. The last when I went down to the game with my kids, there was an idiot in our section that was like, because we were the section next to the bullpen, who was like screaming at the relievers when they were warming up, and it's like, all right, just shut up.
It's not
like,
worth it.
No, like I understand you, like if you want to be the funny guy and stand up and you yell something like, "Hey, you're a bum" or whatever, like okay, like, but then it just becomes uncomfortable because no one's really laughing. Everybody's just like looking at them. But no,
the first time's kind of like, haha, that's funny, and then the 5th time you're like, dude, sit down.
Shut up already. Yeah, it's not funny. You're not funny or whatever. Yeah, so I'll be down tonight. So that's got to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, listen, I've maybe send Bryce a text and say, hey, can you get back tonight so I can watch you play in your first game back?
Because you guys are buddies, right?
We're absolutely buddies.
That's what I figured.
Me and Bryce Harper. What else did I have here? All right, so Romano and Kepler. Romano served up a grand slam where didn't they have a mound visit? He came out the first pitch. He threw a meatball slider right down the middle of the plate. Like, all right. So here's my question with Kepler and with because Kepler was complaining he's not getting enough at bats. He was more or less blaming his lack of production on not. Said he was going to be the starting left fielder. This was right when we were getting off the air on Friday that it started to come out that he had said it the night before to Matt Gelb. So like, hey, Max Kepler, you were on pace for pretty much the amount of games and at bats that you play really since 2019. This is what you are at this point. You're about a 400 at bat guy, somewhere in the 400s. You started 60 or 62 games, something like that at this point. So I get it because Rob Thompson took the high road and he said, I want guys that want to play. So he said that he liked it, but you're on a different planet. You're in fantasy land. If you think that when they signed you, you were getting the Bryce Harper, you're going to play every day, and you tell us when you want to sit out. The Trey Turner contract. Like, hey, Trey, you're going to play every day. The Kyle Schwarber contract. Dude, you suck. So you are on pace, more or less, to play what you've been playing. This is the player you are at this point in your career. So to act like, oh, well, like it's really tough when, you're signed to be the starting left fielder. Dude, shut up. Give me a break. Just shut up and produce. And here's where I'm at right now with him is like, I'm ready to see Justin Crawford come up. And I know he doesn't have any pop, But like, when are you getting to a point where you're just moving on from Kepler? And because another team would take Kepler, I don't, maybe eat some of the salary, maybe you don't. But a team that's looking for a left-handed bat, kind of a change of scenery type thing. Yeah, I do think Kepler, not that you would get any value from him, but you could probably move him. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to overreact because he could get hot in the second half of the season. But I'm getting to a point when I hear him come out and blame the lack of playing time on his productivity. A little bit flaky. So I don't know what the dynamic is inside the clubhouse. I don't know if he's well-liked or just whatever. But I'm kind of ready to see other players than Max Kepler at this point, right? And then Jordan Romano. He just sucks. Dave Dombrowski, I love Dave Dombrowski. I think he's been very good as the Phillies general manager, president of baseball ops or whatever. He is a bona fide professional GM. He's won everywhere he went for a reason. He has made some really, really bad signings and trades over the course of the last year. Austin Hayes it didn't work out. Not only did it not work out, it kind of killed your team because you needed that impact bat, and he gave you nothing. Estevez, the trade last year, he was pretty good. I wouldn't call it a great trade, but he was all right. And your big signings in the offseason, you tried to move Bohm to kind of switch things up. That didn't work. Bohm's been pretty good. But you more or less ran it back with the same team with Kepler, with Romano. You let Jeff Hoffman leave. You didn't re-sign Estevez. And you signed Romano to be your closer, and he's been absolutely positively dreadful. I've been trying to be positive, John, with Romano, because sometimes when you go out there, he resembles a guy that can close games. He resembles a guy that's like, okay, he's coming off of the surgery, and he's not totally healthy, and you got to give him some time to get his command back and everything else. Like, nah, man, I don't know if he needs to shave that beard or shave his head or whatever, but like, we're not going anywhere. We're not making any progress here. And like, at what point are you just say this ain't going to happen? Are you not doing that? Because it's not like that you have bona fide replacements ready to step in right now. But like both of these guys. So Tyler, when do you start looking at, hey, this ain't working with both of these guys? Start with Kepler.
Well, now I think Kepler specifically, because we've already done it with Romano, but with Kepler specifically, I think it has to be very soon because. John, so the thing about the playing time is super intriguing to me because the Phillies have now played, 83 games, I believe it is, or something along those lines. He has 65 games this season in which he has at least 3 plate appearances. So that's not including, games off the bench, that most of those are starts or, significant plate appearances enough. 65 games, three or more plate appearances. If you take it to 4, he still has 56 games of 4 or more plate appearances. He has started in 63 of the Phillies' 83 or 84 games so far this year. I don't know what his expectations were coming in, but my thought the whole time was about 130, 135 starts for Kepler because they paid him $10 million. That's more than platoon
He's your
money.
Starter. Yes, he's your starter.
That's starter money. So my thought was somewhere in the 130, 135. He'll get some days off, just A, because he's coming back from an injury, and B, because I think they're going to want to see somebody who can hit against left-handed pitching a little bit more than he can. So there'll be some mix and match type of stuff. He's on pace for just about that. He's on pace for about 130 starts and about 140 appearances. I'm not quite sure what he's complaining about. And I get it, right? Like rhythm and timing is hard to come about. If he had been in 45 games so far, he'd probably have a little bit of a gripe because they may have sold him a bill of goods that they've not delivered on. He's played in nearly every game this year, and he's started almost 75% of the games so far this season. I'm not quite sure what he's looking for.
He's their starting left fielder. He's been their starting left fielder. You're not getting Bryce. You're not going to play 162 games or 150 games. That's not the player you are.
Do you know how many guys played 162 games last year?
Not many.
6.
Castellanos was one of them.
And Castellanos was one of them, right. But 6 guys across all of baseball played all 162 last year.
So in 2021, he had 2020 was the COVID year. 2021, he had under 500 at bats. 2022, he had less at bats. 2023, he had under 500 at bats. 2024, you mentioned there was an injury. He had 399 at bats, or excuse me, these are plate appearances. He hasn't had 500 at bats since 2019.
19. Yep.
He hasn't had 400 and more. He hasn't had more than 438 at bats since 2019. That's what he's going to have this year. Now, you know what? He's probably going to see less at bats if they make a move at the trade deadline, even if they keep him, because that means they're probably going to have a better shot at having a right-handed bat play more. And Otto Kemp may steal some of his playing time in left field as well. But like, what do you want Rob Thompson to do? Just throw you in there every day because they paid you $10 million? Like, shut up, man.
Well, and you brought up Justin Crawford. And the thing that you and I have been very consistent about with Justin Crawford is when or if he makes his major league debut, he has to play.
Yeah.
You're not bringing the kid up to sit the bench. That would just be foolish. So if you're going to bring him up, you're bringing him up to play. My thing's been about 4 times a week. I think you said even more maybe. But even if it is 4 times a week, like, where's he going to play? Mostly left field.
Yeah. Yeah, unless they're going to move Rojas in a
right.
Well, if they move Rojas, it's probably to get a center fielder. They're moving Rojas and a prospect to get a center fielder. Yeah, the outfield's kind of a mess, and Marsh has been pretty good, but he's a platoon player, right?
Yeah,
Marsh. That's the problem. You have 2 left-handed platoon players without the righty complement.
Marsh is in a good spot right now. He's seeing the ball well. He's hitting the ball well. He is a platoon piece, and April was so bad. He was 0 for 29 in the month of April. It was so bad prior to the injury that, like, I was ready to totally move off of him. I think he has a role, and that role is a platoon player. He's not an everyday player, but against right-handed pitching, he's a serviceable bat. But like you said, if you're going to platoon, you need to have the right-handed complement, and that's just something that they don't have right now.
How long do you give Romano before do you think he is this next month determines whether or not he's designated for assignment? I mean, unless you're trading him somewhere.
Normally, I would say yes, but they're so depleted in the bullpen. I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question. So unless unless they make a move, I don't know.
I don't know either. Last, let's go through his so he did put together a string where he had good outings. And then he gave up 4 runs against the Braves. But it seems like that when he gets on a run, then he gives up that horrible game. That's why, because you would think it wouldn't be that difficult to get out, because he's been a 7 ERA for a long time. And you would think that if you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outings of 1 inning where you didn't give up an earned run, he went 5 1/3 without giving up an earned run. Like, for a reliever, that's going to bring down your ERA, and it was coming down. But then he gives up a 4 spot, and he can't get a friggin' out. Well, he actually did get through that inning, but still.
Right. It's not like – so we were talking about Kerkering earlier, who's been on a really good run. He gave up an earned run against the Astros for the first time in the month, and his ERA went up a little bit because it was 1 run. It was 1 earned run. It wasn't 4 earned runs. And the thing with Romano that's become very evident, you can tell exactly which Romano you're getting by the first 3 pitches. Because when his slider's tight and he throws it early and he's willing to use it to get swing and miss, you go, okay, this is going to be a good Romano outing. But when he throws that loopy get me over slider after a couple of first pitch balls, like first pitch, especially when he's throwing not commanding his fastball,
they sit on.
Yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, if they're looking for a slider and it's the meatball, it's not hard to hit out.
Yeah,
and that the grand slam was just that. All right. Well, there you go. There's your Phillies conversation. Still feeling that good, really, really productive weekend. I love Ranger Suarez. I really, really do. He is so fun to watch. Padres in town. We'll break it all down. 12 games before the All-Star break. So, yep. Yeah, let's go 8-4. I know they have a West Coast swing, so you're going to see the Padres, I believe, twice here before the All-Star break. San Francisco as well. Yeah, so that is what it is. What it is what it is, as Charlie Manuel once said. All right. Ty Luzuli is going to give us his Flyers draft breakdown coming up, because I don't think it's by coincidence that the Flyers have Rick Tocchet as their new head coach, that Jonesy comes from an era of the Legion of Doom, and the Flyers love the big North American forwards. Guess what the Flyers did in the draft on Thursday, Friday? Did they have Saturday? Or it was Friday, Saturday. They drafted a lot of big dudes. We'll break that down. Also, some weekend observations as well. Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Back after this. All right, listen, we got a ton going on right now over at the BetParks app. Ton going on right now over the BetParks app. Got to check it out. So you have San Diego coming to town for the series. Bryce back tonight. Keep an eye out on it. Would anybody be surprised if Bryce goes deep? Here's what I'm doing in this series, all right? I'm going heavy on Schwarber bombs. Heavy on Schwarber bombs in this series. Just say, like, I don't know if you want to go 2, but you can bet on 2. You think he's going to hit 2 home runs in a game? The odds are outstanding for that. A Schwarber bomb, player performances, strikeouts, pitching performances. Bet the run line, the money line, overs, unders, everything else right there on the BetParks app. All right. Also, what about the BetParks online casino app? Not just about betting sports on there. How about live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, baccarat, poker, all of the above and then some right there on the BetParks app. It's the only app I would ever recommend to play all your favorite casino games and to do all your sports gambling. So go to betparks.com, download the app right now, which would be an excellent thing. And also right now on the BetParks app, you can get $1,000 up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. If you're a new user, must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParks. You love to play. You play to win. You bet BetParks. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, weekend warriors. It's Monday. Were you busy this weekend? Were you playing golf? Were you running? Were you outside? And then you're feeling it today. Body sore. But more than the general soreness, right? Your knee is like, man, I'm not going to be able to do this again. I'm not going to be able to play basketball. I'm not going to be able to play golf. I'm going to have to give it till next weekend to see if I recover. You don't have to live like this. All right? Get back to what you love doing, whether you're biking, whether it's just being with the kids in the backyard, right? If your body's not cooperating, Rothman Orthopedics, from aches after a pickup game to old injuries flaring up on summer adventures, Rothman's team of experts is here to help with evidence-based care and commitment to restoring your mobility. They'll get you back to being stronger than ever. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY. You can book an appointment and get back to doing what you love. Pain-free. Rothman Orthopedics, getting you back to your summer game is their mission. Hoo-ah, we're back. Philly with John Marks on PHLY. Hope everybody had a great weekend. All right, before we get a Flyers recap here. So, 2 observations. And Tyler, I want to send this to you right now. I'm going to send you, look on your phone. I'm going to send you a picture. So, my youngest daughter actually had 2 birthday parties this weekend, which is always a lot of fun. But the one, and I don't want to be like a creep. I just couldn't help it. So at the one venue, there was somebody that was working there, and she had a tattoo on her leg. It was above her knee on the side, on like her, not upper thigh, but it's above her knee. And she's wearing shorts where you can see it. You can see, so she obviously wants people to see the tattoo. Okay? And the tattoo, and I'm letting Tyler look at it right now, is a Wawa cup, a Wawa coffee cup. And it's not only a coffee cup, it has the 12 for a 12 ounce. And it has the Wawa goose or whatever it is. You saw it. It looks like a Wawa coffee cup.
Yep. Yeah. It is definitively a Wawa coffee cup.
Now, I'm not going to put this on social media, or I'm not even going to put it out there because I don't think she listens to the show, but still, I don't want to be a total, creep or whatever. I had to take a picture because I was like, who gets listen, I could be the biggest Wawa coffee fan. I don't know if she used to work there or something. And I know people get tattoos. You got a Wawa coffee cup, a 12-ounce coffee of Wawa tattooed on your leg, and you're wearing shorts so people can see it? I don't know, man. It's weird.
I will say this. I have kind of gone through the progressions now of the first couple of tattoos. You're like, this is going to have meaning. I want it to be something that is important to me, like whether it's family or spouse or kids or whatever. They're deep meaning tattoos. And then by like the 5th one, you're like, I don't know, maybe I could get a frog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you say you start just because you liked getting
You
tattoos,
like, yeah, you like it,
right?
yes.
And I wonder if this particular person was in that spot where they're like, "I love Wawa, screw it, let's." It was, you know what it was? I bet you it was probably a flash deal where it was like, "Hey, we have 45 tattoos you can choose from, and they're all $100." And
Really?
yeah, because
They do
places do
that?
that sometimes where they'll have like this sheet, right? And it's like, I don't know, 20, 25 tattoos, and they'll go around to like conventions. And like there's a brewery that I go to locally that does tattoo pop-up shops every once in a
Really?
while. And so I wonder if maybe it was one of those things. It was on a flash deal. It was like $50, and she's like, "That's funny," and she just went and did it.
All right. I mean, yeah, I get, because it's not like it's complex or anything like that. It doesn't look like a jailhouse tattoo, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes
Sure.
it's like,
No, it's a legit tattoo.
yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, again, I wasn't trying to be creepy, but like I couldn't believe it. And like she'd walked by a couple times, and I'm like, I gotta show somebody else this, but how do I get a picture without looking like a total creep? No one saw it was a covert operation. I was able to get the picture taken on her leg. So there you go. That was very creepy. All right. So also I was actually at Uncle Jamie's, I was at his country club. He's a member of a country club. I won't mention the name. Not to golf, but to go to his pool. So my wife was away this weekend for her sister's birthday, and he texted me. He's like, "Hey, like you and the girls want to come?" They're like, "Absolutely, I want to come to the pool." So we were at the pool on Saturday afternoon. It got sunny in the afternoon. Had a great day. It's a great pool or whatever. The lifeguard, and it's a smaller pool, right? So there's one lifeguard for the pool, and so he was wearing socks. So like didn't have a like we have a local pool that we go to, Nine Oaks, and they're younger guys. They're probably like in high school or early college, and they're
Sure.
wearing swimsuits. And sometimes they'll have shorts, like the girls will have shorts over the swimsuit or whatever, but they're wearing a swimsuit underneath. So he's wearing like, I don't know if it was a bathing suit, but like a t-shirt. And like he wasn't going in the water. He had no intention of going in the water. He was wearing socks and then the Adidas slide-ons, but he was wearing socks. So I just couldn't stop thinking about it. If there was a problem in the water,
You had a weird weekend, man.
if there was a problem if he had to jump in the water, which he probably never has had to do and probably will never have to do, doesn't it feel like he would take his socks off before he would jump in?
Yeah,
Socks on a lifeguard didn't make me feel better about the situation.
it is. So I will say, like when we were growing up, the high, the Nike socks, the high Nike socks,
Yeah.
like the mid calf,
Yeah.
mid calf Nike with the slides was
The thing.
super super in when I was in high school. It was you either had the white Nikes with the foam cushion, or you had the ones that are more like, they look a little more like regular slides, but the high Nike socks was a real thing. I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but yeah, I feel like wearing the socks by the pool is kind of strange because it's like, well, I guess I'm jumping in with the socks on.
Right. Which again, like there's probably never been an instance where you had to, or there's like, but like, if something happens, I don't know. It's just like looking at the dude, and he wasn't a teenager. He was probably like 27, 28, had a full beard, working the summer, making money. You know what I mean? Like who knows what he's doing? But he probably still lives with his parents. But
Well, I mean, but could be a teacher, could be, you know what I mean? Like,
he didn't look like a teacher. But to your point, yeah, it could be. You're right. It could be a summer job to where he's a teacher or whatever. I don't know. I just didn't feel any safer with him wearing socks. It's like with if you have your iPhone in your pocket and you had to jump in the pool, like you ever get pushed? You ever hear somebody getting pushed in a pool and they have their phone in their pocket? Because a lot of times bathing suits have the regular short pocket. And if you're walking along the pool and some loser comes up and pushes you in, you have that, like, never happened to me because I'd kill somebody if they did that to me.
very teen movie scenario, right? It always happens in a movie where there's like a party going on where somebody inevitably gets pushed in the pool.
Right. Yeah. Like, no,
Yeah.
don't push me in a pool. Don't. I know somebody that got pantsed. You know what I mean when I say that? And he was up like where he was like, I forget exactly what the situation was. And I'm actually trying to protect the identity of him, but he got pants in front of like a lot of people.
Oh,
Yeah. And this person wouldn't talk to the person that did it for years. And the person that
I don't
did
blame
it,
him. That's embarrassing.
dude, the person that did it was like baffled at how mad he was. And I'd said to him, dude, I would kick your ass. I'd probably hit you with weapons. It was a bathing suit. If you pantsed me and I was full frontal nudity in front of a group of people, I may kill you. Like, what are we talking about here? And these are grown adults, dude. This wasn't in college.
Grown adults, right.
This wasn't at a friggin' frat party where it happened. These are grown-ass adults that did this. And he was baffled that the guy was mad at him. And, like, literally, like, their relationship was never the same after that. It's like, you're an idiot for doing that. Who does that? Unbelievable.
I'd be mad. I'd be super, super mad.
All right, good. Like, because that was my reaction.
Yeah, don't blame him.
Yeah, don't pull my pants down to where I'm nude. Right? I don't know. Very, very strange. All right, Flyers. I thought it was let's get it back to the Flyers. Very, very interesting. Their draft. And I thought the PHLY Flyers guys and gals did a great job with everything. With their coverage. Really, really. Like, give me a break finding anybody that did better coverage than what we did here on PHLY. But you notice a trend of who they drafted, Tyler Zulli.
No doubt.
Porter Martone, 6'3", 204. Jack Nesbitt, they traded up to 12 to get him, although this seemed to be a strange pick for some people. 6'5", 186. Carter Amico, 6'6", 232. Jack Murtaugh, 6'1", 198. Whoever their other second-round draft, 6'3", 212. Matthew Guard, 6'5", 195. 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, 6'3", 6'5", 6'6", 6'1", 6'3", 6'5". You think they have a type here, Tyler Zulli. Holy cow.
There was a point where Murtaugh brought their average draft height down, and he's 6'1". Like, Murtaugh, like, he's not a small dude. Like, the PHLY Flyer show had him on. And he's a pretty, sizable kid. And it's like, well, he brought the average draft size down, because you're right. Danny Briere and Keith Jones and the crew had a draft plan in mind, which was like, we're getting size, we're getting physical, we're getting the one comp. I forget. I think it might have been towards Murtaugh. It was either Murtaugh or Amico that basically Charlie was saying, this guy, when he hits, he wants to hurt you. And he's physical and willing to throw the body around. Like, this is a huge, huge draft class in terms of just sheer muscle and size. I will say, like, when the 5th pick was announced and Nashville made their selection, I was in the chat. A lot of people were in the chat that said, run to the podium for James Hagan. Skill set, I think, is unmatched. Like, point per game player at Boston College, well more than a point per game, in most of his U.S. time. I was ready to run to the podium for James Hagan. Now, they ended up going with Martone instead. Like, I don't dislike Martone. It was just a matter of, I was super, super, like, I fist pumped when Nashville made their pick. And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, Jimmy Hagan's is still on the board. And then my world kind of came crashing down.
Oh. Well, I mean, like, it worked for him with Lindros and company, but it also kind of became look what the Flyers are doing. North American forwards that are big guys that you want to be physical. And, like, I mean, it's really what the Flyers are. It's about picking the right guys. So their second pick, they traded up, and this was just by doing some looking at draft grades and things like that, where it was kind of a head scratcher, where I saw a lot of people were saying he could have been a second-round draft pick. But they not only did they take him at 12, but they traded up to get Nesbitt. And, like, right away, what you read is, like, best case scenario, he's a second-line center, maybe a third-line center. And, like, when you draft a guy top 12, is it I guess it's a safe pick? I don't know. You can tell me more.
I will say this. Not sitting here telling you, like, I have incredible depth of knowledge of everybody, but, like, the first round, I did enough studying on, like, 15 or so guys to say who could they take at 6, and then who might they take towards the back end. They trade up, and I guess the prevailing thought is this guy, who I forget who was picking 15th, but whoever was picking 15th had an eye on him, and the Flyers were
they coveted him.
They weren't going to get him at 20, what was it, 24, I think it was. So they moved up to go get him. It's an interesting pick with a really wide range of outcomes where, like you said, some people believed he could have been, falling out of the first round. And some people said, hey, he could have gone 15th. So I guess I've always been a big believer in, if you have a guy that you really like, do what you got to do to go get him. And you let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
Clearly they like this guy. I don't know a ton about him. I'm not even going to pretend like I do, but clearly to move up 2 first-round picks, two late first-round picks, but to move up 2 first-round picks to get to 12 to go get this guy, they clearly see something in him.
All right, if you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com. We're in overtime. Yeah, the one thing I saw, and I saw D in the chat had said this. It talked about how can he reach above what most people think he is. It's by improving his skating. His skating, like, he's not a great skater. I thought that was like a prerequisite to playing hockey. But it shows you what an idiot I am. Yeah, I guess he's not a great skater, so therefore offensively they don't know if he's like, how good he can be. But interesting.
My assumption is here too, with kind of how the draft fell and what they've done this offseason, they're going to put a lot of stake into Trevor Zegras. And for better or worse, Trevor Zegras is going to be a big piece of this year's, top 6. And I think they're hoping that Zegras is a guy that will eventually sign long-term.
Yeah, they took a guy from Sweden, Max Westergaard. I know you were a big fan of him.
Oh yeah, huge fan.
Other than that, that's it. That's what the first 6 rounds. That's what you have.
It's amazing. I love watching people who love the sport the way that I love other sports. And what I mean by that is, like, I love the NFL draft because I watch a ton of college football. So like when a guy gets drafted from Bowling Green in the 4th round, I'm like, yo, I watched that guy. He's good. And I love watching people who love the game of hockey so much, where they're locked into the Swedish league and they're locked into, the United States U21 team and things like that. And they know who these prospects are, because after Martone, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. They traded up for Nesbitt. I guess they like him.
Yeah. No. But you said it. They traded up. They gave up the trade up, and he's targeted. So regardless of what everybody else says, just put it back to the NFL draft. When Detroit reached up and they took that linebacker Campbell and they took Jahmyr Gibbs, everybody was killing him for taking Gibbs. I'd say it's a pretty good pick right now. I mean, the kid's a stud. So if it works out and he ends up being a good player, who cares?
Sure.
If some people thought he was 12. So listen, this is overall, when you look at if this is going to work for what Danny Briere and Keith Jones are doing, it's going to be moves like this that are going to be dissected. Trading up, giving up a future first-round draft pick or a first-round draft pick to get him. If the guy isn't any good, then it's going to be a terrible draft pick. So.
Sure. And of course, you're always going to play the game of who was drafted right behind, right? Like the draft that the Flyers took Nolan Patrick. You're playing the game of, well, of course, Nico Hirscher went number 1, and he's been pretty good. But behind him, who else went? And it was Elias Pettersson. And gosh, who else was it? There was a couple of other really, really, I think Mikko Heiskanen was in that draft as well.
Oh, yeah.
But like you're talking about a lot of guys who have been, all-stars or all-star level players. And you ended up with the guy who unfortunately had, chronic migraines, which is nothing you can do about it. But it's just like that game that you're going to play. It's the same game of like you took Jalen Reagor and then Justin Jefferson went off the board, right? Those type of games always get played. We're going to do the same thing with the Sixers, right? We're going to do VJ Edgecombe compared to fill in the blank. Who went after VJ Edgecombe? And likely it'll mostly be Ace Bailey, because that's who the conversation was. But you always, fair or unfair, you always play that game. And I think we'll do that with Nesbitt because of the fact that they gave up, 2 first-round picks to move up to 12.
Right. All right, what do you got? Phillies show today. Tyler Zulli, what do you got on tap?
Yeah, we're going to talk obviously about the pitching staff. Starting pitching's been phenomenal. We'll talk a little bit more about this Padres series coming up, All-Star game coming up around the corner as well. So we'll dive into that. A lot to get into still. And then, of course, trade deadline officially 1 month away.
Yeah, now we can start. And if you thought that the Nightingales and the Heymans were annoying before, every friggin' center fielder and every relief pitcher that could be available is going to be rumored to go to the Phillies, just based on dot connecting. So it's going to be a fun, when your team has needs and the Phillies have obvious needs. Mm-hmm. Yep. Dave Dombrowski.
The problem is, you know who has bullpen needs?
Everybody.
Everybody. Even good teams.
Every year. You're right. Yep. But doesn't it seem like the Phillies are really desperate? Like this is desperation, man. Dabrowski's really gotta fix this.
Yeah.
Really gotta fix this.
Yeah, because I think your two options right now are figure out this year and then figure out 2028.
Yep.
Because, and I'm not saying like the window is closed, but I'm saying you have to balance the balance between can you win right now and you finally have a couple of really, really highly touted prospects. What does their future look like? So how do you tip the scales one way or the other when you're trying to balance both at the same time?
Yep. All right, Tyler, 1:00 live show?
Yep, 1:00.
Awesome. All right, everybody, thank you. Anthony is live right now. Slide on over to him. And we appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow again live at 8 a.m. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.